computer. Well, hello, my pride and joy. Thank you for joining us on Roaring Like Lions Live. This morning, we have Casey Vennes with us today. She, did I say your name correctly?
You did.
All right, I'm getting, she talks about her book. Tell them, I'm gonna let you tell them about your book.
Well, thanks for having me. So I wrote a book back in October. It's called Diary of an Ape, and it's about the AMC short squeeze. You may or may not have heard about it.
Okay, so for those of us who don't know, what is AMC?
So AMC is the movie theater. And so basically a little synopsis, back when the pandemic hit, basically the AMC movie theater was in jeopardy of going bankrupt. And hedge funds basically saw an opportunity and decided that they were going to try to short it into bankruptcy. And what happened is a lot of people love theaters, and retail investors decided to rise up against Wall Street, and they bought up the company, and we saved the company. So
Thank you.
And now, so yeah, in a sense, we're heroes. I know Adam Aaron, the CEO, really admires us. But basically, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, what's happening in Wall Street, and probably never have this lottery ticket again in our hands. But basically back in June of last year, the AMC stock rose up from basically $10 all the way up to $72. And a lot of us made a lot of money. Since then, it's been going back down, but none of us sold. I mean, some people sold, but a lot of us held on because we know in the end, it will make us multimillionaires. And essentially, I wrote a journal about it. And it's just been a crazy ride because basically these hedge funds, they actually employ psychologists to mess with us and mess with our minds in order for, because they need our shares. At the end of the day, nobody's selling. And they need our shares, and they will write these bogus articles, and you'll read about them like, oh my gosh, AMC, it's going bankrupt and blah, blah, blah. And retail investors, we do the opposite of sell. We just buy more, and it drives them absolutely insane. So it's just been a game of David versus Goliath. And it's actually pretty comical. My book, it's not just about, my journey through AMC. It's my life through the past few years, and I work in healthcare, and there are some inspiring stories from some of my patients in there. And it also has some crazy stories about my dating life, which are pretty comical as well. So it's just, the people that have given me feedback, they say it's a really fun read, and it's enjoyable.
Oh, that's wonderful. So it's more than just I'm getting an echo back here, so excuse me if I stutter. It's more than just about the stock market and what goes on there, but it's just kind of full circle. It has your life, it has your work, it has fun things.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, no, I had a good time writing it. It's funny because it was the most unorthodox way that I started writing. I'm not a writer. Well, I mean, I guess I am now because I published a book, but
You're an author.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a published author. But yeah, my ex-husband, once upon a time, he told me, he's like, you missed your calling as a food critic because you love food and you're a really good writer. So I just had that in the back of my head. But I had gotten sick with bronchitis, and my doctor put me on a couple doses of steroids. And then I had another doctor prescribe me an albuterol inhaler. So it gave me like so much energy, and I couldn't sleep. So one night process, I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot sleep. So I laid in bed and I was like, you know what? Write a book. And I started at 2:00 in the morning, and I basically finished the whole book in about a month. So
Oh, that's amazing. Now, I know you have another book to write. It's in still the beginning stages, but can you give us a little hint of what you would like it to be when it's finished?
So basically I need the AMC short squeeze to start and finish. And I truly believe that it will happen and I will become a multimillionaire. And there are a lot of haters out there, a lot of people that said, you guys are crazy, you're nuts. And my next book is basically going to be called I Told You I'd Become a Multi-Freaking Millionaire. So
Awesome. I love it.
believe it or not, I'm a very humble person, but when it comes to this, it's one of those I told you so. But the nice thing is I got all the people that I know and love on board with this whole AMC thing. So in the end, I'm not going to be celebrating by myself. They will be alongside with me. So
Oh, oh, that's great. I'm glad to hear that.
yeah, and I'm sure there'll be more dating stories in there for you too. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Oh, cool. Cool. Yeah. So I remember from when we had the summit on April 25th that you talked about we have bulls and we have bears and now we have apes. Maybe for those who weren't able to make the summit, haven't seen the replay yet, you could tell them what is an ape.
So basically, like you said, on Wall Street, there are the bulls that when the stock market is up, those are the bulls, and then when the market is down, like it's kind of been lately, they call it a bear market. And retail investors, it's like a whole new development. So we are not your traditional investor. We don't do what traditional investors do. When there is fear and uncertainty in the market, basically you sell. With things like AMC and another short squeeze play is GameStop, like a lot of you probably heard. They drive down the stock price and retail investors scoop it up. They're like, woohoo, it's like a discount, and these hedge funds, like they just shake their head and they're like, these guys are idiots, and that's basically what we've been called. We've been called dumb money. We've been called like a lot of just degrading names. And so basically, like Wall Street Bets and Reddit was like, well, we can't, walk around calling ourselves these degrading names. So let's call ourselves apes. They have smooth brains, and it just kind of stuck. And yeah, now on Wall Street, there are bulls, there are bears, and now there are apes.
That's awesome. So I don't know anything about stocks except I watch them go up and down, and I know that sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. So you talked about retail, hedge funds, things like that. Can you kind of explain what the language is?
Well, a hedge fund, I mean, you basically need hedge funds in the market. it's good and it's bad essentially. But what happened was these hedge funds saw an opportunity, and instead of doing the right thing, they kind of just did the wrong thing. I don't know exactly how to explain what they do, but
That's okay.
they go against the market, and I don't know what
Let's
they're doing.
start to where before you got into hedge funds. Why did you get into hedge funds? How did you find out about them? I didn't even know there was such a thing. So how
Um,
did you get started?
well, I'm a retail investor. It's just basically an investor on Wall Street. Anybody can do it. Anybody can get a trading app. There are so many out there, and it's fun. A lot of people, like Warren Buffett, he says that we use the stock market like it's a casino, which, a lot of people have, but you can make a lot of money out there. And yeah, I started doing it right when the pandemic hit. I just needed it as an outlet. My kids were home from school, they were virtually learning. And while they were learning, I was learning the stock market, and I started putting money in there and just kind of rode with it.
Oh, wow. Wow. So if somebody's never invested before, they don't know what to do, do they just find a stock market app and look for hedge funds or look for retail funds, or what would they do?
You look for different investments. I mean, they say to invest in things that you believe in,
Okay.
like, for instance, if somebody, is an avid Amazon shopper, some might invest in Amazon. Some people, they drive a Tesla and they stand by Tesla, they invest in Teslas. Other people, they're like, oh, I'm Ford all the way. It's just things like that. You want to find solid companies, and just you can put your money in there. And I mean, it's the same thing as, like, with your pensions, or your 401ks and stuff like that. You find different opportunities, and if you like real estate, you can go into the real estate sector. If you work in healthcare, and you can invest in that. I mean, there are so many different avenues to go.
Wow. I hadn't even thought about that. That's interesting. And so as far as going back to AMC, um, you just I guess you have to do research. I mean, you have to know what's going on with the companies that you're looking at. You must have heard that AMC was going to file bankruptcy, or something was going on with there. And I guess did you talk to other people before you supported them, or what did you do?
Actually, I came in right after the initial short squeeze that happened. I talked to my coworkers, and they were like, this is what's happening, and it's going to do the same thing as GameStop, go all the way to like $500. And I actually came in right after when the price was dropping. So Adam Aaron basically came on, and said, you guys took us out of bankruptcy. And I was like, you know what? I see a great opportunity, and, I'm just going to YOLO.
Cool. So I don't know if this has anything to do with stocks or anything, but what do you think about Elon Musk right now and what's going on with Twitter and all of that? Any thoughts?
Oh gosh, Elon, I mean, that man, everything he touches turns to gold. So,
It seems like it, yes.
I mean, and you know what? I like what he's doing. I like the fact that, he's buying Twitter, and, it should be free free
Mhm.
speech,
Well, it
and
started out that way, I think.
but a lot of these sites are, you're censored, and you can't say, if they don't believe what you have to say, I mean, they'll either ban you or remove your comment or throw you in Facebook jail or whatever. But, I mean, that's a constitutional right. And
It, excuse me.
but yeah, no, I'm pro Elon, so, and I like his cars too.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Now, I don't remember who it was. One of the social media sites is now, if you have pictures of, gosh, now I'm not going to get my words right. Well, the only word that comes to my mind is Holocaust, and that was not it. It was pictures of concentration camps, I think it was, on the cloud, that they're going to take them all out. So there's censorship again. So I don't quite understand why they would want to do something like that. It's all part of history and part of our history, whether it's a good history or not. It's still part of our history. So when a company, a social media announces something like that, what is that? I mean, most all of them have stock. So what does that do to their stocks?
um well, it's kind of weird because when he first started talking about buying Twitter, the stock did go up, but ever since the stock has gone down. But the market's been kind of like turbulent lately and a lot of volatility, so it's kind of hard to tell. It's a very weird time in the stock market right now. Lots going on, especially with like the Fed's raising rates. All that drives the stock market. And again, there's a lot of uncertainty in the market, so I don't know if that's you
Okay.
know driving the
Yeah,
price down, or
what
there's
it
so many
does.
things.
Yeah, I always think about the stock market crash back in the early part of the century. And do you think that will ever happen again? That
I
it
do.
just, oh, you
I do.
do? Yeah, why is that?
Um, because basically the feds just printed money,
Hmm.
to the point of no return. And I honestly believe that we're headed for a big crash. And I think it's right around the corner. And, I actually wrote about it in my book. And I think a lot of that is going to have to do with the AMC short squeeze play.
Yeah. Does it
Because
scare you as an investor?
no,
No?
because again, I've seen it coming, and I said it's like a tsunami, and it's out there, and there are tiny volcanic eruptions under the sea right now, and that big wave is coming. And the people, again, even the people that are prepared. I had a friend of mine, and it's actually my best friend's mom, and she had called me one day, and she's retired, and she's like, Casey, she's like, my friends are freaking out. Like, I know you love the stock market. I mean, any tips? You know, and again, it's scary because I honestly, truly do believe that it's a big crash is coming,
Hmm.
and I think a lot of people's retirements are going to be wiped out.
Because
Back in
they're invested in the stock for their
Yeah,
retirement.
a lot of that. And I actually told my dad, I begged my dad back last August. I was like, you need to go see a financial advisor, because he had most of his portfolio in high risk stocks, and I was like, you need to go see an advisor. And he did. He listened to me, thank God. um because I just knew. I was like, it's coming. This is just, they can't sustain this.
Right.
Especially now, the interest rates are rising, inflation is rising, and it's like you can't combat one without affecting the other. And it's like a big ball of yarn right now, all intertwined, and it's a mess. It's
Wow.
a mess.
Wow. So do you have maybe some advice for people who are either in the stock market or thinking of joining, maybe doing the hedge funds? Um,
Well, and again, hedge funds, it's a whole different entity.
so,
But
okay.
if you want to join the stock market right now, I would say to hold off, um, because there's just too much uncertainty right now. Um, Basically, I started a new job about a year and a half ago, and my retirement came over, and they were like, "What do you want to do with it?" And I was like, "Well, let me put it into a rollover IRA right now, which doesn't give me any returns." I mean, I basically looked the other day and it was just flat.
Oh,
But I didn't
wow.
lose it. Yeah, I lost $0. I think I made $6 on it. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's the only safe haven for me right now. And eventually, after a few years, they usually say, I mean, we are headed for a recession. There's no way around this. And recessions are not always a bad thing, it's kind of like it's like a reset.
Yeah.
Um, but the stock market will go up again, after a couple of years, and I'll throw my money into that and ride it back. So
So it really is like riding a wave. You're up and down, and
yeah,
you just have to pay attention and prayerfully, hopefully, make the right decisions. And
yeah. I mean, it's a gamble. It's a gamble
yeah.
because the stock market is geared based on news. A
Hmm.
lot of it is news, and you got to pay attention. It's politics. It's you know what's going on with Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah, that's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
I mean, most people that go gambling at the casinos, you compared it to a casino, it's like most people don't win. They might win some, but for the
Hmm.
most part, there's a lot of people losing a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I think part of it is they aren't paying attention. They aren't playing with money that they can afford to lose. That might be another thing too to think about. Yes, if you want to play the stock market, play with money you can afford to lose. So when you lose it, it's not going to devastate your family or your finances. And
Exactly.
yeah, um, yeah. Hey, I gave a good tip, and I don't even play the stock market.
You should. You should.
Well, I know people who do, and it's like, yeah, maybe I should. I used to, but I haven't. Sorry, I haven't lately. But
Yeah.
yeah, so if they want to find your book, Diary of an Ape, they can go to Amazon to find it. Are there other web pages or places that for beginners you might suggest that they go take a look at to learn about the stock, learn about hedge funds?
I mean, I learned most off YouTube.
Okay.
Things like that. I mean, you can find anything on YouTube.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, and I mean, you want to learn about like technical analysis and patterns and all that. Um, it's not always foolproof, but it does help. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, and they were just saying like they don't teach you this in school. There aren't a lot of books that are up to date about learning this. So but yeah, no, there are a lot of good people out there that will teach you about stocks and how to invest and all that, and you know stocks for
Nice.
beginners.
And so for people who are experienced in it, they just need to start paying attention to what's going on and do
Yeah.
what they're doing, because if they're experienced, they've been doing it a while, probably.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
definitely, I mean, you got to be up to speed with world events and everything, because
Mhm.
it does really sway what's happening in the stock market.
So this probably has nothing to do with stock, but what about like Bitcoin and stuff? Does that have anything to do with stock, or is Bitcoin like its own separate entity?
I mean, Bitcoin, I can't even talk about Bitcoin because I've tried to understand it, and it's so funny. I had a friend and he was big into Bitcoin, and he started investing when it was like $4,000. He's a multimillionaire now. But I was like, I don't understand. Like, he's like, oh, it talks about mining and all that. I'm like, listen, when you talk about mining, like I see those little coal miners, with their hats on and the lights in the front.
Taken
He's
away.
like, no, no, no. So, I mean, I've gambled in Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Shiba, and it's funny because sometimes like on a Friday night, if I'm just hanging out with the kids or whatever, and they're upstairs, and I'm like, well, let me get in on Dogecoin real quick. I'll get in. Like an hour later, I've made like a couple $100. I'm like, okay, I'm out. It's just because I mean it's 24/7. It doesn't stop. It's not like the stock market where it's like, okay, it opens at 9:30 in the morning and then it closes at 4, and then you're done with Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and all those coins. Like you get bored and you're just like, oh, let me throw some money around in there. And
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Wow. Well, Casey, I'm so glad you came back today, and that we could talk again, and I hope you get those ideas sorted out in your head for your next book, and as things goes on, you can tell people, see, I told you, I warned you. So tell us again, warn everybody now. You need to do this.
Well, I'm hoping that the next time I reach out to you, AMC will have had its short squeeze. And we could talk about that, and I can say, I told you it was going to happen. And then
here's the next big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good.
Well,
Yeah, I remember when Yahoo was coming out, and Google and all of those, and my friend and I, we were just kind of playing with a stock, and it was kind of fun because I don't know, her and I, we seemed to be on the same vibe, and we knew what was going to happen, and so that was kind of cool. But yeah, so it's I'm still looking like, well, what's the next new fun thing that's going on?
Well, I hope you got in at the beginning of Google and Yahoo.
But yeah. Well, thanks, Casey. I want to hear more about your dating life. Maybe we should just talk about that one time and your kids.
Oh, well, that's definitely entertaining, let me tell you. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So my pride and joy. Be sure and check out her book, Diary of an Ape, on Amazon. And be sure and watch the replay. I have it on YouTube, and you'll see Casey that's there, and she talks about it. And I thank you so much for coming on today. This was fun. It was entertaining, and it was real informative. I like the tips and the insight that you have.
Well, I hope it helps, and good luck.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you at noon on Roaring Like Lions Live.
Thank you.